Blood-soaked ceramite and shattered faith marked the ending of the 32nd millennium, when the Emperor's greatest warriors turned against one another in a civil war that would forever scar the Imperium. Among the ashes of this betrayal arose a chapter whose very existence embodied humanity's defiance against chaos, the Black Templars. Their Genesis story weaves through the darkest hours of the Second Founding, born from the Imperial Fists Legion during a time when loyalty had become as precious as it was rare. Sigward Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists, stood amid the ruins of Terra after the Horus heresy, his golden armor dulled by the blood of traitors and the dust of fallen fortifications. The dissolution of the Space Marine legions into smaller chapters was not merely a strategic reorganization. It represented mankind's desperate attempt to prevent another catastrophic betrayal. Yet within this mandate of division, Dorn saw an opportunity to forge something unprecedented, a chapter that would never rest, never establish a homeworld, and never cease its crusade against the Emperor's enemies. The Second Founding birthed numerous chapters, but none would embrace their purpose with such zealous dedication as the Black Templars. Under the leadership of their first High Marshal, Sigismund, once first captain of the Imperial Fists, they transformed the pain of the heresy into a burning conviction. Sigismund's own experiences during the Solar War and the Siege of Terra had crystallized into an unshakable belief that only through eternal warfare could humanity's survival be assured. While other chapters claimed fortress monasteries and established recruitment worlds, the Black Templars chose the void between stars as their domain. Their fleet-based existence wasn't merely practical, it was philosophical, representing their understanding that chaos could strike anywhere, that no single world could contain their righteous fury. This decision would shape their entire operational doctrine, transforming them into spaceborne crusaders whose very presence would herald mankind's vengeance against its enemies. The seeds of their distinct character were sown in those early days, their zealous interpretation of the Imperial Creed, their rejection of psychic powers, their tradition of sword brethren, and their unique practice of taking vows. These weren't merely cultural affectations, but fundamental responses to the traumatic betrayals they had witnessed. Each aspect of their chapter culture was forged in the crucible of humanity's darkest hour, tempered by the understanding that unwavering faith and ceaseless vigilance were the only bulwarks against corruption. As the remaining Loyalist legions divided themselves according to the Codex Astartes, the Black Templars emerged with a singular purpose that transcended mere compliance or tradition. They became living weapons of retribution, their very existence a testament to humanity's resilience and determination to survive. Their founding represented not just the birth of a new chapter, but the emergence of a new kind of Space Marine, one whose faith would be as impenetrable as their armor, and whose hatred for the enemy would burn as hot as a plasma core. Sigismund, first High Marshal of the Black Templars, stands as the cornerstone figure in the chapter's founding. More than just a warrior, his transformation from Imperial Fists, first captain to the Emperor's champion during the Siege of Terra, reshaped Space Marine doctrine. Sigismund's legendary dueling prowess earned him the title Emperor's Champion, a tradition the Black Templars would eternalize in their ranks. His personal combat with Karn the Betrayer during the siege demonstrated the depths of his martial supremacy, while his fateful conversation with Rogel Dorn about his dark predictions for humanity's future laid the groundwork for the chapter's zealous philosophy. Rogel Dorn, Primarch of the Imperial Fists Legion, played a pivotal yet complex role in the chapter's creation. Initially resistant to the Legion's dissolution, his eventual acceptance came with careful consideration of how to preserve his Legion's strength while adhering to the Codex Astartes. Dorn's decision to allow Sigismund to forge a unique path with the Black Templars demonstrated both tactical wisdom and emotional growth. His own experiences during the heresy, particularly the trauma of discovering Horus's betrayal and witnessing the Emperor's internment, influenced how he shaped the successor chapters. The Emperor's Champion tradition originated with Sigismund, but quickly became institutionalized within the Black Templars' hierarchy. These warriors, chosen through divine inspiration and martial excellence, embodied the chapter's dual nature as both military force and religious order. Each champion carried the Black Sword, a symbol of authority and vengeance that linked them directly to Sigismund's legacy. Their existence represented a direct connection to the chapter's founding moments and the ideals that drove its creation. Chaplain Mordred, the first Master of Sanctity of the Black Templars, established the chapter's unique religious traditions. His interpretation of the imperial truth transformed into what would become the chapter's distinctive Zealous faith. Working closely with Sigismund, Mordred codified the system of vows, crusade practices, and spiritual disciplines that would define Black Templar culture for millennia to come. His teachings emphasized the warrior-monk aspect of the Astartes, blending combat doctrine with religious fervor in ways that would influence countless future generations. The Sword Brethren emerged as an elite cadre within the chapter's structure, departing from the traditional company organization of the Codex Astartes. These veteran warriors served as both combat elites and living repositories of the chapter's traditions. Their formation reflected Sigismund's belief in the importance of close combat expertise and personal honor, creating a warrior brotherhood that would preserve and transmit the chapter's most sacred combat techniques and beliefs. Marshal Beaumont, one of the first to hold the title, established the precedent for how marshals would lead their crusade fleets. His organizational innovations helped transform the theoretical concept of a fleet-based chapter into a practical reality. Beaumont's campaigns demonstrated how independent crusade fleets could maintain coherent chapter culture while operating autonomously across vast distances, setting patterns of operation that would define the Black Templars' unique approach to warfare. The Emperor himself, though interred upon the Golden Throne, remained central to the chapter's founding mythology. The Black Templars' interpretation of the Emperor's divinity and humanity's divine destiny emerged from their unique perspective on his sacrifice. Their zealous faith, which would later seem at odds with the imperial truth, grew from their understanding of the Emperor's role as humanity's savior and protector. Castellan Raymer, overlooked by many histories, proved instrumental in developing the chapter's distinctive ship-based training methods. His innovations in void warfare and fleet operations enabled the Black Templars to transform naval vessels into mobile fortress monasteries. Raymer's protocols for maintaining gene seed purity and recruiting standards while constantly on crusade became fundamental to the chapter's continued existence. The navigators and astropaths assigned to the first Black Templar fleets warrant recognition for their role in enabling the chapter's crusading nature. These specialized personnel adapted to the chapter's unique operational style, developing new techniques for coordinating widespread crusade fleets and maintaining communication across vast distances. Their contributions proved essential in transforming Sigismund's vision of an eternal crusade into reality. Betrayal's bitter seeds took root long before the Black Templars' inception. The Horus heresy's devastating impact on the Imperial Fists Legion created psychological wounds that would fundamentally shape their successor chapters. Rogel Dorn's discovery of Horus's treachery at the Istvan system shattered not only military allegiances, but the very foundation of trust between warrior brothers. This trauma manifested differently within various elements of the Legion, but none more profoundly than among those who would become the first Black Templars. The Emperor's internment upon the Golden Throne served as a catalyst for radical ideological transformation within the Imperial Fists. Traditional Space Marine doctrine, based on logic and martial discipline, proved insufficient to process the magnitude of loss and betrayal they had experienced. Sigismund's extended vigil beside the Emperor's broken body during those dark days altered his perspective fundamentally. The rational warrior emerged as something new, a crusader whose faith burned as bright as his fury. This transformation would become the template for the Black Templars' distinctive character. Political pressures following the heresy played a crucial role in the chapter's formation. Robert Guilliman's Codex Astartes, while primarily a military document, represented a broader imperial mandate to prevent any single military force from wielding too much power. The Imperial Fist's initial resistance to this division revealed deep-seated fears about weakening humanity's defenses. However, this very resistance led to innovative thinking about how successor chapters might maintain their effectiveness while operating independently. Internal divisions within the Imperial Fist's Legion regarding psychic abilities created another foundational element of Black Templar doctrine. The role of psychic powers in Horus's corruption led many warriors to view all warpcraft with deep suspicion. Sigismund's faction particularly embraced this skepticism, establishing what would become the chapter's strict prohibition against psychic marines. This stance reflected both practical concerns about corruption and deeper philosophical beliefs about human purity. The deteriorating state of the Imperium following the heresy necessitated new approaches to space marine operations. Traditional Legion-based defensive strategies proved inadequate against the scattered but numerous threats emerging across the galaxy. The concept of crusading fleets, able to respond rapidly to distant threats while maintaining operational independence, emerged from this strategic challenge. The Black Templars would embrace and perfect this approach, transforming necessity into virtue. Technological considerations heavily influenced the chapter's early development. The loss of many Forge worlds during the heresy created logistical challenges that would shape the Black Templars' operational doctrine. Their fleet-based structure evolved partly from the need to be self-sufficient, leading to innovations in void-based maintenance and resupply protocols. This independence would become a defining characteristic of their chapter culture. Cultural shifts within the Imperium itself provided fertile ground for the Black Templars' zealous interpretation of duty. As Imperial truth gave way to the Imperial creed, Space Marines needed to adapt to an increasingly faith-based society. The Black Templars' embrace of religious fervor, while unique among Astartes, aligned them with broader Imperial cultural trends. This cultural synchronization would prove advantageous in their relationships with Imperial worlds and institutions. Martial traditions within the Imperial Fist's Legion, particularly those emphasizing close combat and personal honor, found new expression in the Black Templars' founding. Sigismund's legendary prowess in personal combat established precedents that would become chapter doctrine. The emphasis on sword fighting, dueling, and personal challenges reflected both practical combat philosophy and deeper beliefs about warrior virtue. The practical challenges of maintaining gene seed purity and chapter strength without a homeworld demanded innovative solutions. The Black Templars' distinctive recruitment practices, drawing initiates from worlds visited during crusades, emerged from these early challenges. This approach, while unorthodox, ensured genetic diversity and created unique opportunities for selecting candidates tested by actual combat conditions. Geographic and strategic realities of the post-heresy Imperium influenced the chapter's development. The need to maintain imperial authority across vast distances while responding to numerous threats shaped their operational doctrine. The Black Templars' solution, multiple simultaneous crusades operating independently but united in purpose, emerged as a response to these complex strategic requirements. M31.021, the seeds of the Black Templars' genesis, sprouted in the immediate aftermath of the Siege of Terra. Sigismund, having survived countless duels with traitor champions, emerged transformed by his experiences. His famous oath to hunt down every traitor who fled into the Eye of Terror marked the conceptual beginning of what would become the Eternal Crusade. These early days saw the first informal gatherings of like-minded warriors within the Imperial Fist's Legion who shared Sigismund's burning conviction. M31.024. The implementation of the Codex Astartes forced crucial decisions within the Imperial Fist's Legion. Rogel Dorn's initial resistance gave way to strategic acceptance, but this period of uncertainty allowed Sigismund to develop his vision for a new kind of Space Marine chapter. During these months, the first organizational frameworks of the Black Templars took shape. Sigismund gathered veteran warriors who shared his zealous outlook, laying the groundwork for the Sword Brethren tradition. M31.025, the first chapter. Conclave marked the official formation of the Black Templars. This gathering saw the codification of their unique practices and beliefs. Sigismund, now bearing the title of High Marshal, established the chapter's distinctive command structure. The decision to forego a permanent fortress monastery represented a radical departure from traditional Space Marine organization, reflecting their commitment to permanent crusade status. M31.027, launch of the first Eternal Crusade fleet, marked the chapter's operational beginning. This initial deployment demonstrated the viability of their unique organizational structure. Multiple crusade fleets, each led by a marshal, spread across different sectors of space. The success of these early operations validated Sigismund's vision of a perpetually mobilized chapter, proving that coordinated action could be maintained without a central headquarters. M31.033. The establishment of the Emperor's Champion tradition took formal shape during the conquest of the Ghoul Stars. During this campaign, Brother Magistus experienced a vision of the Emperor before a crucial battle, leading to a spectacular victory against overwhelming odds. His example established the pattern for future Emperor's champions, creating a tradition that would become central to chapter identity. M31.042. Development of the chapter's distinctive religious practices crystallized during the purging of the Nephilim sector. Chaplain Mordred's influential treatise, The Warrior's Faith, codified many practices that would become chapter traditions. This period saw the formal integration of religious zealotry with military discipline, creating the unique spiritual warrior ethos of the Black Templars. M31.055, the Battle of the Howling Stars, demonstrated the effectiveness of the chapter's fleet-based strategy. 3 separate crusade fleets converged to counter a major chaos incursion, showcasing their ability to coordinate large-scale operations without a central command structure. This campaign established many of the protocols still used for interfleet coordination. M31.063. Institution of the Neophyte system marked a significant evolution in chapter recruitment practices. Unlike other chapters, the Black Templars began training initiates in actual combat conditions, paired with experienced warriors. This practical approach to warrior development proved highly effective, though it resulted in higher casualty rates among aspirants. M31.078. The Sword Brethren's role expanded during the defense of the Gilad system. This campaign saw the first formal organization of veteran warriors into dedicated close combat units, establishing traditions that would define the chapter's elite forces. The success of these units led to the standardization of close combat training protocols across all Crusade fleets. M31.089. Codification of the vow system emerged during the Long Night campaign. Marshal Ludoldus formalized the practice of taking specific combat vows before battles, linking warrior dedication with spiritual devotion. This system would become integral to chapter culture, influencing everything from individual combat assignments to crusade fleet deployments. Dem31.096. The chapter's stance on psychic powers hardened following the warp storms of the Gorgon Spiral. Several incidents involving corrupted psychers led to the formal prohibition against recruiting psychically gifted individuals. This decision, controversial at the time, would become a defining characteristic of Black Templar doctrine. M31.099. Development of void warfare expertise reached new heights during the Siege of the Iron Cage. The chapter's fleet-based nature necessitated superior void combat capabilities, leading to innovations in boarding actions and ship-to-ship warfare. Many of these techniques would become standard practices throughout the Imperium. M31.100. The century of testing concluded with the chapter firmly established as a unique force within the Imperium. By this point, the Black Templars had developed their distinctive character, zealous, mobile, and perpetually crusading. Their success in maintaining chapter strength and effectiveness while constantly on crusade proved the viability of their unconventional approach to Space Marine organization. The defining moment in Black Templars' history crystallized during the Spherus Reach campaign, when Sigismund made his fateful decision to permanently reject the Codex Astartes' organizational strictures. This pivotal choice emerged from a complex confluence of battlefield necessity, spiritual revelation, and strategic insight. During a crucial void battle against remnant traitor forces, Sigismund witnessed firsthand how conventional chapter organization hampered effective response to widespread threats. The campaign's desperate circumstances forced improvisation that would later become doctrine. Chaplain Mordred's influential vision in the aftermath of the battle provided spiritual validation for Sigismund's tactical innovations. According to chapter records, Mordred experienced a powerful manifestation while praying in his chambers aboard the battle barge Eternal Crusader. This vision depicted the Emperor's angels as eternal wanderers, never resting, never establishing permanent strongholds, but instead carrying their sanctity within their hearts and armor. This spiritual experience transformed what had been a temporary tactical adaptation into a divine mandate. The implementation of this new organizational structure triggered immediate resistance from more conservative elements within the Imperial military hierarchy. Several high-ranking Imperial commanders questioned the wisdom of a permanently crusading chapter, arguing that it violated both the letter and spirit of the Codex Astartes. Sigismund's response to these challenges demonstrated both his diplomatic skill and unwavering conviction. He argued that the Black Templars' approach actually fulfilled the Codex's deeper purpose, preventing the concentration of Space Marine power by ensuring the chapter remained perpetually dispersed. Technological adaptations necessitated by this decision proved equally revolutionary. The conversion of battle barges into mobile fortress monasteries required significant modifications to existing vessel designs. Forge masters worked tirelessly to develop new systems for maintaining gene seed stocks in void conditions, creating redundant backup systems that would ensure chapter survival even if individual crusade fleets suffered casualties. These innovations in void-based chapter operations would influence Space Marine fleet doctrine for millennia to come. The reorganization of training protocols marked another crucial aspect of this turning point. Traditional methods of preparing initiates, based around fortress monastery facilities, required complete reimagining. The solution, pairing neophytes directly with experienced warriors in combat situations, emerged from necessity but proved remarkably effective. This apprenticeship system, though more dangerous for initiates, produced warriors particularly well-suited to the chapter's mobile warfare style. Support infrastructure underwent radical transformation during this period. The chapter developed new protocols for resupply, recruitment, and equipment maintenance, all designed to support continuous crusade operations. These changes required extensive coordination with various Imperial institutions, from the Adeptus Mechanicus to the Administratum. The success of these negotiations demonstrated the chapter's ability to maintain essential Imperial relationships while pursuing their unique path. Strategic implications of the Black Templars' new operational doctrine rippled throughout the Imperium. Their ability to respond rapidly to threats across vast distances provided Imperial commanders with unprecedented strategic flexibility. This capability proved particularly valuable in regions where traditional Space Marine chapters, bound to specific sectors, couldn't effectively respond. The Black Templars' success in this role helped silence many initial critics of their unconventional organization. Cultural transformation within the chapter accelerated dramatically following this turning point. The adoption of permanent crusade status influenced every aspect of Black Templar life, from daily rituals to battlefield tactics. Warriors began incorporating religious observances into every aspect of their duties, developing the distinctive warrior monk character that would define the chapter. This cultural evolution helped cement the Black Templars' unique identity within the Adeptus Astartes. Logistical challenges posed by the new organizational structure forced innovation in fleet operations. The chapter developed sophisticated systems for coordinating multiple crusade fleets across vast distances, ensuring that while each fleet operated independently, the chapter could still concentrate forces when necessary. These protocols would later influence Imperial Navy doctrine regarding fleet coordination and long-range operations. Political ramifications of the Black Templars' transformation extended far beyond military considerations. Their example inspired other chapters to question rigid adherence to the Codex Astartes, demonstrating that alternative interpretations could actually strengthen the Imperium's defenses. This philosophical impact, though subtle, helped reshape understanding of how Space Marine chapters could effectively serve the Emperor's will. The Black Templars' revolutionary approach to chapter organization triggered cascading effects throughout the Imperium's military structure. Their success in maintaining combat effectiveness while perpetually crusading challenged fundamental assumptions about Space Marine operations. Multiple crusade fleets operating independently, yet maintaining coherent chapter identity, demonstrated previously unconsidered possibilities in Astartes' organization. This operational model influenced several subsequent chapter formations, though none would fully replicate the Black Templars' absolute commitment to the crusading lifestyle. Military doctrine throughout the Imperium evolved in response to the Black Templars' innovations in fleet-based operations. Their techniques for maintaining extended campaigns without permanent bases became standard study in Imperial strategic planning. The chapter's ability to respond rapidly to threats across vast distances proved particularly influential, leading to widespread adoption of their void warfare tactics. Naval commanders began incorporating Black Templar void combat techniques into their standard operating procedures, particularly their methods for conducting boarding actions and ship-to-ship combat. Recruitment practices underwent significant transformation across multiple chapters following the Black Templars' example. Their success in training neophytes through direct combat experience, while controversial, demonstrated the effectiveness of practical battlefield education. Several fleet-based chapters adopted modified versions of this approach, though few embraced its full intensity. The higher casualty rate among initiates was offset by the exceptional quality of warriors who survived the process, producing Space Marines particularly well-suited for autonomous operations. Religious implications reverberated throughout the Adeptus Astartes as the Black Templars' zealous faith gained prominence. Their interpretation of the Emperor's divinity, while extreme by traditional Space Marine standards, resonated with broader Imperial cultural trends. This alignment between chapter beliefs and popular Imperial faith enhanced their effectiveness in coordinating with civilian populations and non-Astartes military forces. Several other chapters began incorporating more overt religious elements into their traditions, though none matched the Black Templars' fervent devotion. Technological advancement in void-based operations accelerated due to Black Templar innovations. Their solutions for maintaining gene seed stability during extended void operations became standard protocols for fleet-based chapters. Developments in ship modification for extended campaigns influenced both military and civilian vessel design. The Adeptus Mechanicus incorporated several Black Templar innovations into their standard templates for Space Marine vessel construction and modification. Political relationships within the Imperium shifted subtly but significantly. The Black Templars' unique position as a permanently crusading force created new diplomatic dynamics between Space Marine chapters and Imperial authorities. Their success in maintaining autonomy while serving Imperial interests effectively demonstrated alternative models of chapter-Imperium relations. This precedent proved valuable for other chapters navigating complex political situations with Imperial authorities. Cultural impact extended beyond military spheres into broader Imperial society. The sight of Black Templar crusade fleets became powerful symbols of Imperial might and purpose. Their zealous faith and unwavering dedication resonated with civilian populations, often inspiring increased devotion to the Imperial Creed. Stories of their crusades became popular elements of Imperial mythology, contributing to their effectiveness in maintaining Imperial morale and solidarity. Logistical systems throughout the Imperium adapted to accommodate the Black Templars' unique operational requirements. Their methods for maintaining supply lines across vast distances influenced Imperial logistics doctrine. The chapter's success in coordinating multiple crusade fleets led to innovations in long-range communication and resource distribution that benefited the entire Imperium. Their protocols for managing distributed operations became standard study in Imperial strategic planning. Strategic flexibility in Imperial defense planning increased significantly following the Black Templars' example. Their ability to respond effectively to threats across vast distances demonstrated the value of mobile space marine forces. Imperial commanders began incorporating the possibility of rapid Black Templar response into their defensive calculations, often adjusting their strategies to take advantage of this unique capability. The psychological impact on the Imperium's enemies proved substantial. The Black Templars' reputation for appearing unexpectedly and fighting with religious fury created powerful deterrent effects. Their crusading doctrine meant that no enemy could ever be certain they were beyond the chapter's reach. This uncertainty forced many potential adversaries to divert resources to defensive preparations, effectively extending the chapter's strategic influence beyond their actual physical presence. Advanced void ship modifications distinguished Black Templar fleets from standard space marine vessels. Their battle barges incorporated specialized reliquary chambers for gene seed storage, featuring redundant stasis fields and backup power systems. Unique modifications to life support systems enabled extended crusade operations without resupply. The chapter's tech marines developed sophisticated void shield harmonics specifically calibrated for ship-to-ship combat, improving their vessels' survival rates during close-range engagements. Combat doctrine evolved around their perpetual crusading nature. The Black Templars perfected rapid deployment techniques using modified drop pods equipped with enhanced inertial dampeners. Their assault patterns emphasized overwhelming force applied precisely at critical junctures. Unlike traditional space marine tactics that might prioritize holding ground, Black Templar strategies focused on complete enemy elimination, reflecting their inability to maintain long-term garrison positions. Close combat specialization led to significant developments in power weapon technology. The chapter's artificers perfected techniques for maintaining combat blades during extended campaigns, developing specialized power field modulators that increased weapon longevity. Their famous black swords incorporated unique power field generators that produced distinctive ebony energy fields, making them both symbolically significant and exceptionally lethal. Armor modifications reflected their aggressive combat style. Black Templar artificers developed reinforced pauldron designs that improved protection during close-quarters fighting. Their crusade pattern helmet variants featured enhanced autosenses specifically calibrated for boarding actions and void warfare. Special attention to servo joint maintenance protocols enabled extended operation without access to forge facilities. Training systems underwent radical adaptation to suit void-based operations. The chapter developed sophisticated combat simulation chambers aboard their vessels, utilizing hybrid real space and hololithic training environments. These facilities incorporated actual combat data from ongoing crusades, ensuring training scenarios remained relevant to current threats. Neophyte preparation particularly benefited from these innovations, allowing controlled exposure to combat situations before actual deployment. Communications technology adapted to support their dispersed operational structure. The chapter developed encrypted Vox networks capable of maintaining security during long-range transmissions. Their astropathic choirs received specialized training in maintaining contact across vast distances, developing unique protocols for coordinating multiple crusade fleets. Emergency backup systems ensured individual fleets could continue operating effectively even if cut off from central communication. Recruitment technology centered around mobile gene seed processing facilities. Each major crusade fleet carried specialized equipment for testing potential initiates and preserving viable gene seed samples. The chapter developed unique protocols for assessing candidate compatibility in field conditions, allowing recruitment to continue during active campaigns. Mobile apothecarian facilities incorporated redundant systems to ensure gene seed stability during extended void operations. Weapons loadouts emphasized versatility and reliability during extended campaigns. The chapter favored weapons patterns that could be maintained with limited resources, developing specialized field repair protocols. Their artificers perfected techniques for weapon-blessed oils that improved reliability in void conditions. Ammunition manufacturing facilities aboard their vessels ensured sustainable resupply during extended operations. Transport technology received significant attention due to their mobile nature. The chapter developed specialized Land Raider variants optimized for rapid deployment from orbit. Their Thunderhawk gunships incorporated enhanced void shields for improvement survival during combat drops. Specialized docking clamps and rapid release mechanisms improved vehicle deployment times during planetary operations. Defensive systems reflected their unique operational requirements. The chapter developed sophisticated void shield configurations for their vessels that could be maintained during extended campaigns. Their boarding defense systems incorporated both physical and energy barriers, with redundant systems ensuring protection even during extended engagements. Special attention to environmental seals improved survival rates during void combat. Logistical technology centered around maintaining extended crusade operations. Mobile forge facilities aboard their vessels enabled field repairs of both equipment and vehicles. Specialized storage systems preserved war materials during long-term void travel. The chapter developed unique protocols for recycling and reusing materials, improving their operational sustainability during extended campaigns. High Marshal Sigismund's legendary duels carved his name into Imperial history with every fallen champion. His most famous confrontation occurred during the persecution of Hadian's Reach, where he faced the Chaos Lord Valkyr in single combat. The duel lasted 17 hours, neither warrior yielding until Sigismund's black sword finally pierced his opponent's corrupted heart. This victory exemplified the High Marshal's unmatched blade work and indomitable will, traits that would define the chapter's combat doctrine for millennia to come. Chaplain Mordred's spiritual leadership transformed faith into a weapon as potent as any blade. During the siege of Bastilia Prime, when Chaos cultists threatened to overwhelm defensive positions, Mordred led a countercharge that became legendary. Witnesses described his prayers manifesting as visible auras of golden light, strengthening his battle brother's resolve while striking terror into the hearts of heretics. His writings on faith and combat became foundational texts for the chapter's warrior monks. Among the chapter's adversaries, few earned more hatred than the Chaos Lord Zereth the Unbound. This former Imperial fist betrayed his brothers during the heresy, leading to the deaths of countless loyalists. The Black Templars' pursuit of Zereth across 7 sectors demonstrated their relentless determination to punish betrayal. The final confrontation in the Ghoul Stars resulted in Zereth's death, but not before he had tested the chapter's resolve through countless brutal engagements. Marshal Helena the Valiant broke traditional gender barriers within the Imperium's military hierarchy through sheer combat excellence. Her tactical genius during the defense of the Ophidian Gate saved 3 Imperial worlds from destruction. When questioned about her right to lead, she responded with battlefield performances that silenced all critics. Her innovative void warfare techniques became standard doctrine for the chapter's fleet operations. The Dark Mechanicum Lord Hexavich presented a unique challenge to the Black Templars' early crusades. His corrupted forge worlds produced twisted war machines that threatened entire sectors. The campaign to destroy his technological heresy required the chapter to develop new tactics for combating mechanized threats. Marshal Dorn's hammer personally led the final assault on Hexavich's central forge temple, ending the techno-heretic's reign of terror. Among the chapter's early heroes, Navigator Primaris Alexis Dorn deserves special recognition. Her exceptional skill at void navigation enabled crucial victories during the Tempest War. When warp storms threatened to isolate an entire crusade fleet, her expertise guided them through impossible conditions to strike at the enemy's heart. Her techniques for navigating turbulent warp conditions became standard training for all chapter navigators. The demon Prince Crusade earned particular enmity for corrupting 3 Imperial Shrine worlds. His ability to twist sacred locations into sources of chaos power represented everything the Black Templars despised. The campaign to purge his influence required not only military might, but also spiritual warfare. Chaplain Grimaldus's final exorcism of Crusade became a testament to the chapter's dedication to both martial and spiritual combat. Forge Master Dominicus revolutionized the chapter's technological capabilities during their formative years. His modifications to standard Space Marine equipment enabled extended crusade operations without regular Forge World support. When the Chaos Lord Malgoth's forces attempted to exploit supposed logistical weaknesses, Dominicus's innovations proved decisive in maintaining the chapter's combat effectiveness. The infamous Drukhari Archon Vexthor proved a particularly challenging adversary during the chapter's early years. His raids specifically targeted Black Templar recruitment operations, attempting to exploit their mobile nature. The strategic counter-campaign led by Marshal Corvin demonstrated the chapter's ability to adapt their crusading doctrine while maintaining their core principles. Among the chapter's internal heroes, Apothecary Mendel stands out for his crucial work in adapting gene seed procedures to void-based operations. When mutation rates threatened to increase during extended crusades, his innovations in gene seed preservation ensured the chapter's genetic purity. His protocols for field screening of potential recruits enabled the chapter's unique recruitment practices. The fallen Inquisitor Vonth represents a different kind of adversary in the chapter's history. His zealotry initially aligned with Black Templar beliefs, but his subsequent fall to chaos tested the chapter's dedication to their principles. The campaign to bring him to justice demonstrated their ability to maintain faith while combating those who had corrupted it. Brother Ancient Cassius earned his place in chapter legend through unmatched skill with blade and bolter. During the defense of St. Corelia's Rest, he held a crucial monastery gateway alone for 3 days against waves of cultist attacks. His example of combining martial skill with unwavering faith became a standard for future generations of Black Templars. The Lost Crusade of Marshal Thaddeus remains one of the chapter's most perplexing mysteries. In M3 1.066, an entire crusade fleet vanished while pursuing heretic forces into the Ghoul Stars. Fragmentary astropathic messages suggested discovery of an ancient threat predating human civilization. The fleet's final transmission spoke of massive structures orbiting a dying star, followed by complete silence. Subsequent rescue missions found no trace of the vessels or their crews, though occasional reports persist of Black Templar ships bearing archaic markings appearing in distant sectors. The prophecy of the Eternal Blade continues to intrigue chapter scholars. During the chapter's founding, a blind mystic on Terra delivered a cryptic prophecy concerning the Black Sword carried by High Marshal Sigismund. The prophecy spoke of the weapon's spirit growing stronger with each champion's death, suggesting it would ultimately play a crucial role in humanity's final battle. Detailed analyses of the sword have revealed unusual energy patterns that defy conventional understanding of power weapon technology. Questions surround the true extent of the Black Templars' numbers. While officially adhering to the Codex Astartes' prescribed limit, their scattered nature and continuous crusading make accurate accounting impossible. Some Imperial scholars suggest their perpetual motion creates a statistical anomaly where different administrative sectors count the same forces multiple times. Others propose that their unique recruitment methods and organizational structure naturally lead to fluctuating numbers that average within acceptable limits. The forbidden archives of Chaplain Mordred pose another enduring enigma. Before his death, Mordred sealed a collection of manuscripts describing visions received during the chapter's founding. Tradition holds that these documents can only be opened when specific prophesied signs appear. Several attempts to access these archives have resulted in inexplicable equipment failures and psychic phenomena. The true nature of Mordred's revelations remains unknown. Unexplained phenomena surround certain chapter relics, particularly those associated with Emperor's champions. Documentation exists of power armor continuing to fight after its wearer's death, and weapons manifesting unusual effects during crucial battles. The chapter maintains extensive records of these incidents, but offers no official explanation. Some theorize these occurrences represent direct intervention by the Emperor's will, while others suggest unknown technological principles at work. The betrayal at Nexus 6 raises persistent questions about potential infiltration attempts against the chapter. During this campaign, evidence emerged suggesting systematic attempts to corrupt Black Templar gene seed stores. Investigation revealed sophisticated biomechanical viral agents of unknown origin. While the immediate threat was contained, uncertainty remains about the perpetrator's identity and whether similar attempts occurred elsewhere. Geographic anomalies appear in records of early Black Templar crusades. Several battle reports reference locations that don't correspond to known Imperial star charts. Whether these discrepancies represent navigation errors, lost colonies, or something more mysterious remains debated. Some scholars suggest these inconsistencies indicate deliberate obscurement of sensitive information rather than actual errors. The phenomenon of synchronized visions presents another unexplained aspect of chapter operations. Multiple documented cases exist of Emperor's champions experiencing identical visions simultaneously despite being separated by vast distances. These incidents often precede significant events affecting the chapter or Imperium. Whether this represents psychic phenomena, divine intervention, or other factors remains unknown. Questions persist about the chapter's role in certain classified Imperial operations. Gaps appear in official records surrounding specific campaigns, particularly those involving Xenos artifacts or ancient human technologies. Some historians suggest the Black Templars occasionally act as deniable assets for high-level Imperial authorities, undertaking missions requiring both military might and absolute secrecy. The paradox of the Death Oath challenges understanding of chapter traditions. This extremely rare vow, taken only 12 times in chapter history, supposedly ensures victory while guaranteeing the warrior's death. However, 2 documented cases exist of warriors surviving after fulfilling their death oath. The metaphysical implications of these exceptions remain hotly debated among chapter theologians. Archaeological mysteries surround several early chapter battlefield sites. Investigations of these locations reveal evidence of unusual energy phenomena and unexplained technological artifacts. Whether these represent previously unknown weapons, warp effects, or other factors remains unclear. The chapter maintains extensive restricted archives about these sites, but releases minimal information. The question of the first Emperor's champion intrigues scholars of chapter history. While Sigismund is officially recognized as the first to hold this title, certain ancient texts reference an earlier figure from the Great Crusade era. The relationship between these accounts and the chapter's traditions remains unclear, with some suggesting a deliberate reformation of historical narrative during the chapter's founding. The legacy of the Black Templars' founding echoes through millennia of Imperial history, their crusading spirit burning as bright as ever in the dark future of the 41st millennium. What began as a revolutionary interpretation of Space Marine doctrine evolved into one of the most recognizable and formidable forces in the Emperor's service. Their influence extends far beyond military achievements, shaping Imperial culture, faith, and strategy in ways their founders could scarcely have imagined. The chapter's zealous devotion to the Emperor, once considered extreme even among Space Marines, foreshadowed the Imperium's eventual evolution toward religious absolutism. Their early embrace of faith-based warfare proved prescient, as later millennia saw the rise of widespread Emperor worship. The Black Templars' spiritual practices, initially viewed with skepticism by other chapters, became increasingly normalized as the Imperial Creed gained prominence throughout human space. Military historians point to the Black Templars' organizational innovation as their most significant contribution to Imperial defense doctrine. Their successful implementation of a permanently crusading chapter demonstrated the viability of fully mobile Space Marine forces. This precedent influenced countless subsequent strategic decisions, from the formation of new chapters to the development of rapid response protocols throughout the Imperium's military infrastructure. The technological advancements pioneered during their early years continue to benefit the Imperium. Their solutions for maintaining gene seed stability during extended void operations became standard protocols for fleet-based chapters. Innovations in ship modification and void warfare tactics influenced both military and civilian vessel design. The Adeptus Mechanicus still references Black Templar specifications when outfitting vessels for extended combat operations. Their unique approach to recruitment and training proved remarkably sustainable. Despite predictions that their aggressive recruitment methods would lead to genetic instability or degraded combat effectiveness, the chapter maintained both its numbers and its exceptional combat capabilities. Their success demonstrated that traditional Space Marine organizational doctrines could be successfully modified without compromising essential capabilities. Cultural impact rippled throughout Imperial society. Tales of Black Templar crusades became part of common Imperial mythology, inspiring countless citizens with examples of dedication and sacrifice. Their visible presence across vast swaths of space helped maintain Imperial authority in regions where other Space Marine chapters rarely ventured. Their zealous faith resonated with civilian populations, often inspiring increased devotion to the Imperial Creed. Strategic flexibility in Imperial defense planning increased significantly following their example. The knowledge that Black Templar forces could appear virtually anywhere in Imperial space affected both allies and enemies' strategic calculations. This uncertainty forced many potential adversaries to divert resources to defensive preparations, effectively extending the chapter's strategic influence beyond their actual physical presence. The psychological impact on the Imperium's enemies proved substantial and enduring. The chapter's reputation for appearing unexpectedly and fighting with religious fury created powerful deterrent effects. Their crusading doctrine meant that no enemy could ever be certain they were beyond the chapter's reach. This uncertainty complicated enemy planning and often disrupted potential threats before they fully materialized. Diplomatic consequences of their founding continue to influence chapter Imperium relations. Their success in maintaining autonomy while serving Imperial interests effectively demonstrated alternative models of Space Marine organization. This precedent proved valuable for other chapters navigating complex political situations with Imperial authorities. Their example showed how deviation from standard doctrine could actually strengthen the Imperium's defenses. Their influence on void warfare doctrine remains particularly significant. Techniques developed for coordinating multiple crusade fleets across vast distances revolutionized Imperial approaches to fleet operations. Their innovations in boarding actions and ship-to-ship combat became standard training material throughout the Imperial Navy. Even their enemies adopted elements of their void warfare tactics, recognizing their effectiveness. Looking toward humanity's uncertain future, the Black Templars' founding represents more than historical interest. It demonstrates the Imperium's capacity for necessary evolution. Their successful adaptation of traditional Space Marine doctrine proved that innovation could coexist with loyalty and effectiveness. This example remains relevant as humanity faces ever-changing threats in an increasingly hostile galaxy. As the Dark Millennium draws to a close, the Black Templars continue their eternal crusade, their numbers supposedly larger than ever. Their founding story serves as both inspiration and instruction, showing how dedication to purpose can overcome any obstacle. In their unending war against humanity's enemies, they vindicate daily the revolutionary decisions that marked their chapter's birth.